Welcome to, I guess we're going to call this the Advanced Tools SketchUp model video, Advanced Tools SketchUp model video. So basic premise here is I'm going to go over some of the advanced tools that we didn't talk about in our last video. These are going to be tools that help you once you have groups and things created correctly. These are going to be things that help you move stuff around, measure stuff, make things bigger, smaller, draw advanced shapes, etc., etc. So this is a cool little video. All right, I'm just going to go to create new, and then I'm going to go to my simple template. If you don't know how to get where I'm at right now on the screen, go back a video, watch the basic SketchUp video, and that's going to get you in the right place. So simple template, feet and inches. I'm going to select that, and here we go. Okay, I'm going to click my man here. I'm going to hit delete. That way I've just got my three-dimensional area. Remember, we depress our roller ball if we want to move around. We zoom in and out with the roller, and then we depress the roller and hit the left click to move left and right, so we don't have to click on our toolbar a whole bunch. So that's just a quick reminder of what we're doing. The first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is I want to talk to you about the move tool. Now, I use the move tool a lot in what I'm doing in this program. So let's really quickly, let's just draw out a box. Let's make it tall. Now let's turn it into a group. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, triple click, right click, make group. All right. So now what happened is, as I've made it a group, this is now a separate object by itself. So if I draw something, watch this, on top of it, these two objects are no longer going to be welded together. So I can move. This is my move tool right here. So there's a little four-star arrow deal right here. It's called the move tool. If I grab this thing on the bottom, look, they're not stuck together. I can move it independently of this object because this object is a group or a component. Okay, so that makes a huge deal when I'm trying to move things around, because watch what happens if I try to move the ungrouped or non-component object. So I'm going to grab that and be, oh no, oh my Lord, what has happened? The world is over. I have destroyed everything. Oh no. Control Z. Save your bacon. All right, so what's happened there is, if I zoom in, you can see, okay? So the move tool grabs whatever you tell it. So if I'm touching an object, wherever I'm touching and I hit the move tool, it's going to grab that surface and it's going to move it anywhere I want it to move. Forward, backward, up, down, diagonal, left, right. It's going to move it. If I grab this corner down here, see how it says endpoint? If I grab that, it's going to move that corner and anything that's attached to it. Okay. This tool gets you in trouble. The only thing I use this tool for, there's two times I use this tool. When I'm moving groups or components, or if I am taking an edge and combining it down to make like an angle. Watch. So I grab it, it says on edge, and I move it to touch another edge. And I've created, instead of a four-sided cube, I've created the triangular prism. That's the only time that I use that move tool. See how I just got rid of one edge? I don't ever grab a surface and try to just move it. I don't do that, okay? That's not what I do. So then if I want to move this object, 1, 2, 3 clicks, right click, make group. Now it's a grouped area. Now I can take my move tool and I can grab and I can move the whole thing. See how that works? Okay, so that's the theory behind the move tool, but let me show you a couple things that I do in order to guarantee I get things moved in the right place. So let's say that I want this corner of this object right here, that corner right there, that corner says origin. I want that corner lined up with that corner right there. So what I would do, I wouldn't grab this and then try to like, oh, maybe it'll line up here one day. No, I don't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my mouse right on that corner. It says origin and group. I'm going to click it. I'm going to drag it over, and it's going to snap. Watch it snap. Boop. Snaps right to the endpoint in the other group. And now look. Now they're completely lined up together. So anytime you use the move, you want to go from like endpoints to endpoints, corners to corners, sides to sides to move them. Another fun thing that the move tool does when you have it grouped is you see these little, if I hover I'm not clicking on anything, I'm just hovering. If I hover over this object, you can see that right here, I've got these little these little red plus symbols. And if I hover over those, watch what happens. Oh, I get this, my mouse changes. Now watch what I can do. I can rotate along that axis. Yeah, so that's another fun thing that I use this for, is to rotate along axes. Okay, so I can move, so I don't have to use, there's actually a rotation tool. I don't have to use the rotation tool. I just make something a group, and then I rotate the group. And it'll give you the, if I zoom in, you see it'll give you the protractor here, and you can do by certain degrees, 90 degrees, 85 degrees, et cetera, and move it all around. This is something also that you can control. So if I go back and I want to rotate this, let's say I want to rotate it 90 degrees, but I didn't get there, I can type in 90, boom, oh my, where'd it go? There it goes. It rotated all the way down there. But I can type in 90 degrees, negative 90, and you'll see it'll rotate like an exact coordinate and amount. Okay. Now I don't normally do that when I do this with my tools. I just kind of rotate them where I know they need to be. But there's sometimes where I might type in the degree and hit enter. That's just like when we add in a specific dimension when we're building something. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the very powerful and crazy move tool. Okay. Always remember, group your stuff before you do it, or component your stuff before you do it, and then use those anchors, those corners, those edges, those lines to get stuff lined up. Okay. Now, I'm going to get rid of that group, and we're going to work on this little group right here for a second, and we're going to show you the dimension tool. So if you want to pause, right now will be a great time to pause and to go ahead and do a little work with your move tool. Okay. A little work with your move tool. So here is the dimension tool. So this is a fun one, dimension tool. So this is, I'm going under the tape measure here, and I'm going to click on the tape measure, and then right above my little picture right here, you'll see it's got like three lines and then like a number kind of thing. It's the dimension tool. So I'm going to click on that, and the dimension tool is the coolest tool ever. Watch. So if I take and I get up right here to a point, okay, so a corner, and I click and I begin to drag. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Oh my goodness. And I drag to another point and I click it here. I'm dragging out. Look, I drag that out and I'm going to get pow, and I'm going to hit that. I know in my model that box is 49 feet 4 9/16 inches tall, because I made it that way. Watch this. I'm still on my dimension tool. Click over here. Oh, wrong one. Click over here. Click over here. I know that it's 37 feet 6 1/8 inches wide. So what the dimension tool does, this is very cool. You can make a model and then dimension the model and then print out plans, and you can physically go and make your stuff because you drew your model up to scale, and then you put your dimensions on it. And then I use this all the time to make woodworking plans. So when we are doing things like building houses or drawing houses or creating, we can make things to scale. If I wanted this is kind of cool. If I wanted my building 45 feet tall instead of 49 feet tall, I go to edit group, my push pull, watch. And now you'll see my dimensions changes also. And I can do this and type 4. Bam, now I'm 45 feet on the nosy. And that's just a little fun stuff right there. So I close group, and now I got 45. So bam, my dimensions are perfect. Okay, so that's the dimension tool. Very cool. There's always arguments with the dimension tool, so I can delete each one of these dimensions just by erasing it. There's always arguments though, like, so this is a group. Do I put my dimensions inside the group or outside the group? So what that means is if I edit my group, I'm working inside my group right now, and now I click my dimensions like this, and now I close my group. If I go to delete the dimensions, I'm deleting the whole group because I put the dimension inside the group, when before what I had done is put the dimensions outside the group. So I'm measuring the group, but I'm not putting it as part of the group. There's a lot of people that will argue, put your dimensions inside the group, and there are a lot of people that argue, don't put your dimensions. I don't, because I like to keep my model, my actual model, separate from the measurements. So if I want to delete the measurement, I can without deleting the model. So I always do my dimensions outside of my groups. Okay, so that's just one more little thing to kind of note and understand on that dimensions tool. So if you're going to measure something in here, if you're going to do things to scale, which you should, that dimension tool comes in really handy. All right, cool. Another tool, advanced tool, is the text tool. So again, if I go to my measurement, I'm going to have to move my screen here. My text tool is right here. I use this for notes. Okay, so if I've got a bunch of different models in one drawing, so say I've got a basement, a main floor, a second level, and a garage, and they're all separated all over the model. They're all over the model. I might take this tool, and it says on facing group, and draw a little line like this, and it might say main floor. I have to delete the rest of that. Main floor. And then I click this, and now in this drawing, I have an arrow that's always going to be pointing directly to my object that tells me main floor. Okay, so it's just a way of labeling things within your model. So that's the text tool. Very good tool to use. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that text though, because I don't necessarily need it. So that's a text tool. And again, that's underneath your tape measure tool. Another fun set of tools is the arc tool. So I'm going to do, let's see, this is the 2-point arc. So I'm going to do the 2-point arc. So I'm going to open up my group. Check this out. Edit group. I'm going to go right here. Actually, I'm going to do this the right way. So I'm going to say, let's put up, it's 30 feet off the ground. That's 30 inches. Sorry, 30 apostrophe feet. There we go. And then I'm going to drag a guide to the middle. So I know that's the midpoint because it turned blue. Now I've got myself some aiming points. So I'm going to go up here to the 2-point arc. So there's the arc tool, there's the arc, and there's the 2-point arc. There's also a 3-point arc. So watch this. So the 2-point arc. So check it out. So I'm editing my group. So my group is open. Watch. Click. Click. And you see I'm doing an arc. Now watch this. Click. Push, pull. Look at that. And now I have made a curved shape. Okay. So that is my 2-point arc. If I just wanted to do a single point arc, that would be the first one of these tools. I would just go from point A to point B. I'm arcing the wrong way, but you kind of see the point. So I can do an arc drawn out. Let's try that a different way. Let's go from a different spot. There we go. We want it to be red. And so you can draw an arc from a certain place. I can draw it all the way around. I can draw it just here. I can draw it. It's an arc drawing tool. Okay. So we use that to draw arcs on our drawing. It's just like a little compass. Okay. So arc tool. I prefer the 2-point arc myself because it's easier to control. I've got point 1, I've got point 2, and now I can bend that arc wherever I want. There's a 3-point arc that you can do. I prefer, again, the 2-point arc. It's my favorite. So don't make the mistake, though, of drawing that arc inside your group, okay? Because if you draw it, or excuse me, draw it outside of the group, watch what happens here. So here's my 2-point arc. Same thing, arc, 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 push, pull. There's nothing to push, pull, because I'll show you with my move tool magic. You drew that arc on the surface of a group and not inside the group. So always make sure when you're modifying using an arc that you open up your group first, edit group, then draw your arc. Then you can push, pull, and everybody's happy. So play around with that arc tool. That's a fun one to use. And then I'm going to show you guys 2 more really cool tools. We got just a little bit of time. So you can pause the video, play around with your arc tool, and we'll come back. So, all right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and re-edit this, and we're going to use this guy. We're going to party with this guy now. So now we've got the absolute fun one here. I got to find where it's at because I use it, but I don't use it a lot. Okay. Is it there? Yeah. So it's underneath your move tool. So I click the move tool and the very bottom one says scale. Okay. So you can only do this with a group. So once you have a group, you can scale your group. Watch, click on that. And it's going to draw all these crazy directional boxes. This is now going to, imagine when you're messing with a picture in like Google Drawing and you make the picture wider, you make it taller, you make it bigger, but it doesn't change anything about it. It just stretches it. That's what this tool is. So I can stretch along that axis. I can stretch along this axis. That's just like a push-pull. I can stretch along this axis. I can stretch along this axis. These are all middle. I can stretch along this one or this one, okay? So I click on the green box and it'll say red scale about opposite point, and you will stretch to whatever you want, okay? I can also scale uniform scale about opposite point. I can also scale, make it bigger or smaller, okay? And that'll do the whole, that's dragging a corner. That's dragging a corner, okay? Now, if I drag a middle like that on the edge, I can do this. So it's a tricky tool. If you need to scale something 50%, you can grab that and go 0.5 on your keyboard, and then that'll be a 50% scale of what you had before. If you just want to stretch it to fit an area, you can stretch your object to fit an area, and that's fine. But this is the scale tool. You can play around with the scale tool. It's completely commandable. It's fun to use. I use it when I'm trying to fit a specific object into a specific space. I can scale it and make it fit, okay? It's better than having to redraw an entire object. So that's why I use the scale tool, okay? And then finally, the most fun tool that you have in your entire arsenal, we're going to go ahead and open up our group. So edit group. Your favorite tool, everybody messes around with it, and it's the absolute last tool that you should use when you're drawing a model. Click on it. It's the paint bucket right here, paint bucket. It's going to bring up stuff over here that says materials. It's going to have colors. It's going to have all this stuff. If you click on this little search, right, chop, bam, this is going to bring up a lot of patterns. A lot of surfaces, a lot of textures, okay? If I want to make this object look like it's made out of stone, I click on stone and I can decide what type of stone I want it to look like. Click on that, go over to my paint bucket, clickety-click, and if I zoom in, you can see this is the stone texture. Now this object is so big that, click on a new stone. This object is so big that you're not going to get like this super like stony effect from it. But you can see, for those who are going to be doing castles in my class, which we will be, this is a very useful tool. But you also have roofing. Look, shingles. Bam. Oh, look, shingles. We have shingles now. Holy cow. Look at Landscaping. Let's see. Let's make this look like a fence. Bam, now it's a fence. Oh man, look, you can see through it. How crazy is that? It's a fence. Oh boy, look at that. Ooh, pebbles. Pebbles. Yeah. Let's make it look like grass. Hey, we got grass now. Look at that. Holy cow. I can put these textures, these surfaces, these basically it's like clicking your geometric plane and it's applying a picture to the geometric plane. So I can put that on any surface I want. That's called what's the name of that stuff? Lattice work. So it's like, yeah, guys, this is fun. Kids love doing this stuff. Yay, this is fun. I'm having fun. Yay. Problem, this makes your model, from a data standpoint, this makes your model immensely a bigger data. So if you have textures on every surface of this is brick. If you have textures on every surface of your entire drawing, it's everywhere. It's like a big bush. If you have textures everywhere in your drawing, your model is going to be, it's going to take a while to move around. The computer is going to be thinking about a lot of stuff. So the final thing that you should do anytime you do models, like the last thing you should do is texturize the surface of your model. Okay. I do not recommend ever putting on your textures with your paint bucket until the very last step. That's why I'm showing it to you last. You need to create your model and then you texturize it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my home screen and I want to show you guys one more thing before we go. So this is my drawing table that I'm getting ready to make. And I want to show it to you. Notice in this model, I'm going to make this thing out of plywood, but notice in this model, I don't have textures on it because it doesn't matter. Textures don't matter when I'm building something, okay? If you're trying to make a pretty file, that's great. If you're not, and you're just creating a three-dimensional file to give you an idea of what a project you're making is going to look like, to work out any sculptural details, any kind of three-dimensional problems that may arise, you don't need textures, okay? So if I've got you in class making a house, and you're trying to figure out how to put a basement on that house, it doesn't need carpet right now. All right, I'm just trying to get that across to you guys. So in the future, when you're working on these models, make sure that you're not using texture first. So again, advanced tools, move tool, dimension tool, text tool, arc tool, paint bucket, scale tool, all those tools, they all come in handy, but they are not necessary tools to drawing basic drawings, okay? That's it. I'll talk to you guys later. See you.